Well, you're probably wondering what wild excitement is going on today. Well, today I'm going to jack the front wheel up, take the calipers off, clean the slide pins, make sure there's no excess corrosion behind here on the pad carrier, make sure the pads are moving freely in the slide, and well, that's pretty much it. I have been noticing that when the car's been sitting maybe for a day or two, the brakes are kind of like, you know, they're breaking off the pads, so the pads are sticking onto the surface. So I think that might be that this is not quite as lubricated and moving free and clearly as it should be. So first thing to do, get the jack out, get the car up in the air and get the wheel off. As always, safety first. Got the jack here, and that's where I put it, where the control arm, I think, bolts in, right there. You could put it here, but I think it gets a more secure position there, going into the subframe. So I've got that jacked up. Next thing is to get the wheel off. Bloody hell. Get the wheel off. I've got my trusty Lidl Parkside torque wrench, so get the nuts buzzed off and let's see what it's like in behind there. I must admit, I never really thought much of having a torque wrench, but it does make things a lot easier. Oh, quite tight. Oh, I thought I was recording there, I wasn't. I've not actually had these wheels off since I had these tyres fitted at the end of last year. So obviously the tyre fitter put them on a little bit tighter than what I do normally. So anyway, this one is loose now, so I'll get the other ones off and hopefully no more delays. Let's try the other ones. Well, they were definitely on a lot tighter than I would normally have them on. So, well, the wheels come off okay. I think I'll put a little bit of lubrication on the hub there to make it come off easier. But, well, there you go. I'll be loosening the nuts on the other side with a wheel brace, I think, and then taking them off with a torque. So as mentioned before, safety first. I always put the wheel when I take it off under the sill, just in case something fails, because you should never really trust one of these. And then I've got the jack stand underneath the trailing arm, control arm, sorry. So that should be okay if there's some sort of problem. I know it's not 100% that, I should really put it underneath the subframe, but I think it'll be okay. So there's a little bit of a lip on that inner side. So anyway, next thing is to undo the caliper. You can see all that lovely Scottish corrosion. Right, so socket set, let's get them off, and then once I've taken the caliper off, it'll be a case of taking the pad carrier off, all looking suitably brown and corroded, as it always is here in Scotland. Okay, so the caliper bolts, they're 14mm, they've undone okay. I have actually put a little bit of copper grease in there, so you shouldn't do that according to some people, but here in Scotland with all the salt on the roads, good luck getting them out. But anyway, they were in tight, so that's that one out, and then I've got this one down here. Again, I've got copper anti-seize compound stuff on there. Works for me, but I used to live in Florida and there's no corrosion on anything there, so you wouldn't need it there. You probably need locking compound. But here in Scotland, I use copper anti-seize compound. But that might be verboten for some people, but works for me. Each to your own. Your mileage might vary. I'll tell you one thing, there's no sign of any lubrication at all on these pads and the caliper. I'm having to lever it off with a screwdriver, but yeah, that's got some grip on there. So anyway, lovely corroded condition. So pads like, you can see it's more worn definitely on the inner edge than the outside edge. Not too bad condition though. I think they're only a couple of years old, these discs. These were Mintex discs. I'm not sure they're really any better than any other discs, but they do the job fine. So that moved okay, that was okay, that came out fine. The inner one doesn't feel quite as, yeah, that definitely feels solid. There's no movement there, so this is definitely needing taken out and cleaned up. So anyway, I'll get the pads out and I'll take the pad carrier off. Right, so the pad carrier, or the caliper mounting bracket, whatever you call this thing, that's 17mm bolts. Again, I have put these bolts in using anti-seize compound, which you'll see in a minute, and I can tell you these did not want to come out. There was a lot of effort in whacking it down with my hand, but you can see definitely anti-seize, but what happens is they rust or they corrode at the top. Well, that's what I find in my experience. Now, that's what I thought the problem was. You see that? There's like almost no movement on those. Yeah, that bottom one is absolutely solid. That's what I thought was wrong, and I can see uneven wear on the brake pad. This is what's causing the problem. These are not sliding. So I'll get this carrier off and then we'll have a better inspection once it's on the little bench. Well, there we go, there's the pad carrier. Very, very slight bit of movement there. That one, now as you can see, it's got a bit twisted, it's obviously let water in, so that feels absolutely solid. I need to take these shims off, and then I shall swap the bog brush for the wire brush and see if I can get all that nicely cleaned up underneath. But yeah, it's not great that, and you can see because the as the slide pins are not moving, you can see that's caused more wear at this end than at that end. I'm not going to bother replacing the pads just now, but yeah, you need to keep on top of these things, otherwise things wear out unnecessarily. So I think these are a 17 as well, so I'll see if I can twist these out, get them cleaned up and lubricated, and then I'll take the shims off. I'll wire wheel all these, and let's see where we are. Well, I'll tell you what, that is well and truly seized. Putting a 17mm on, and I'm kind of tapping it around a bit, tapping it back a bit, and tapping it around a bit, with the hope that I'm going to get it to finally break free. At the same time, I've got a little screwdriver. I've pulled down the boot, and I've put some WD-40 in to see if that'll help. But yeah, it's definitely very tight in there. If I had a proper bench or a vise, I could hold it and I could just wiggle it back and forth, but at the moment I'm just tapping it. So in fact, I have got a small vise. I'll see if I can attach that to the trailer, and maybe I'll get a decent grip on it. Well, I think I've got it moving now. I don't know if it'll turn with, no, it's not turning with fingers, but I had a cunning plan, Baldric. This has a 17mm wheel nut socket. I put it onto there. What I think I've done is, I think I've actually moved it further in, but it is now moving somewhat freely on the 400 Newton meter setting, so I've just got to figure out a cunning plan to get this out, and then I'll be able to crack on. This is a fantastic example of something that should really be 15-20 minutes, turning into probably 2 friggin' hours. So anyway, I'm going to have to endeavour to get that out, get it cleaned up, lubricated, but this definitely worked to loosen it off. I've got some success now. So what I've been doing, I put the spanner on there, I put a bit of tension on it. I don't know if I can show you this, but I put tension on it and I kind of pull it at the same time. You'll have to trust me on this because I can't do it holding the phone, but you'll see now there's that finger gap. Now there's a good centimetre or so, so this is definitely coming out. Oh, just about dropped the phone. So I'll get this out. If you had it in a bench, you could just pull it and twist it and it would come out no problem, but just put that on, get it so it catches, and then pull it. But I'll leave that to using 2 hands. There we go, there's the proof of the pudding. So you can see that's absolutely dry. I'll see how well it cleans up, but I do actually have some new ones, but yeah, that'll need to get cleaned up, and then take the grommet out, or the bellow. That's that out. But yeah, obviously a lot of moisture's. Can we see in there? I don't know if you can see that. It's hard to see with the camera. So anyway, I'll get this all cleaned out, and this will get cleaned up. Yeah, you can feel that's not, it's not smooth there at all. It's tight there as well. What does this one feel like? It's got the rubber bit on the end. Yeah, it's not exactly smooth. That's a bit better. Yeah, that doesn't feel too bad. So obviously the bore's okay, but you can see the difference between the two slide pins. This one looks a bit shitty. Well, I'm going to be throwing caution to the wind. I've got my spare two slide pins. So there's one there to replace that one, and one here. The rubber bit seems to have gone AWOL, but I'll keep these for spares. Obviously I'll clean them up, but I'll put them in for the time being. I'm pretty sure I put the other half of the pack in on the driver's side, so I'll be coming to that after I've done this one anyway. But yeah, I'll just might as well put the new ones in just now. And they've got new rubber grommets and all the rest, so these can all just go back in the pack as spares. So anyway, I'll get some stuff in here to clean this out and get these slide pins lubed up. I'm going to use I was hoping to try silicone grease, but some people say lithium grease is good. Well, it says lithium based, so I'm going to put a little bit of that on, and I'm going to get the drill and whiz underneath here, and then I'll be putting some copper ease in those bits to keep it nice and smooth. So anyway, I'll get cleaning with that and get some towel stuff put down to clean the bores out. Sorry, there and there. Well, that's all cleaned up, so I've cleaned that up. Obviously it doesn't look absolutely perfect, but by the time there's a bit of grease on there and these shims go on and they're greased up, it'll be fine. These Stark grommets, they're a bit harder, I would say, than the original Kia ones, so it took a wee bit of fiddling about to get that centralised in there, but they're both in, greased up. So now I'm going to put some I'm going to grease up the slide pins. Obviously these are the old ones, but these are the new ones, so I'll put a bit of a thin sliver of this lithium grease on them. I was wanting to put silicone grease, but anyway, for this particular demonstration I'm just going to use lithium for the time being, because it's going to be far better than it was. And then I'm going to put some copper slip on here, put the shims in, refit the pads, and once I've done that I shall start the camera again. I haven't tried silicone grease yet, but I've been reading online that that is the thing to use, so I'll soon find out if that is the case. Alright, so I've put copper grease behind the shims. These, as far as I can tell, are properly seated. Now I've put that, it doesn't feel particularly free moving, but I'll put it into place. So anyway, that's that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grease up this Ceratec for the pads. So that's going to go onto the shims and basically on the ears of the pads, and then at the back and then at the caliper I'll just put a little bit more copper grease. But theoretically that's ready to put the pads in. Right, so that's the caliper hanger all fully assembled. Slide pins in place, new grommets, pads into place with the Ceratec stuff. Right, so let's see if it fits back in okay. Well, that's the pad carrier or caliper hanger bolted again. Two 17mm bolts, one there and one there. Pads are looking okay. I can feel movement in that, but I wouldn't say it feels like it's moving in and out extremely lightly, but anyway, I'll now put the caliper back over. Caliper's there. Put that over, and then it's two 14mm bolts for that. Well, that's that fitted. So 14mm bolts are tightened up and 17mm bolts are tightened up. Just squirted some WD-40 on stuff there. I've put a little bit of copper slip on the disc so that it doesn't catch on the or corrode onto the wheel. So that's that. It's still in gear, so I can't turn it. So next thing is I shall take the axle stand out. I'll put the wheel on and get my nuts tightened up. So I'm just going to finish doing this side just now. I'll do the other side I think tomorrow, because now it's already coming up for 5:45. So if you have any questions, just ask. This was just a pure, simple, quick service of the brakes and lubricate them, because they were sort of like catching on, which I think is pretty self-explanatory when you saw the state of the slide pin that wasn't moving at all. So if this has been any good, please feel free to like and subscribe, and any questions just ask in the comments or get in touch with me through the email. Okay, thanks for watching. Any suggestions, just let me know.